Hello and welcome back. It's Mary and I am here with yet another money savings video for our crafty hobby. So on the screen, you're going to see some guidance on where you can skip around in the video, and they're also linked in the description box below. If you just want to click on that timestamp, it'll take you right to it. But before we get started, as always, I want to let you know you can download this Excel spreadsheet here. It has two tabs, one for alternative craft supplies and one for hacks in using your craft items. So you can download that, have it for free, and edit it as needed. I just ask that you save it to your file in your own device and not ask to share it, because I can't share it. Otherwise, everyone will have access to edit it. All right, so check the link below, grab that up. No need to take notes today. We are going to make this super simple, so sit back with your favorite beverage and let's get started. So I took a trip to the Dollar Tree, and although some of these money savings ideas are things I've shared in the past, they're different products for maybe some of the same uses. So for example, I want to talk to you about your craft surface. So if you want something that you can watercolor on, ink smush, just be able to, ink up and not worry about or have it easily cleaned, you can use something like contact paper. And at the Dollar Tree, they have multiple kinds. And so I grabbed up this really pretty marble one. It's light enough where I can see the ink colors that I'm using. And I'm going to do some ink smushing. Now, throughout this video, I decided to stick with the same three ink colors because I wanted to show you how versatile also you can be with your inks, and you can use them in multiple ways. So it's kind of a two-for deal, little bonus there. So I'm just going to stick with the same ink colors. And here I can show you my ink smushing works beautifully on that craft surface. Now, my next idea did not come from Dollar Tree. This one I got off of Amazon. It's the Teflon sheets. Now, you can do this technique that I'm showing you here with the contact paper, which would probably be faster and easier because it's already sticky. But I wanted to show you the idea of putting your craft mat onto a mobile surface. It is such a great idea for when you want to do things like ink smush and move the ink out of the way to maybe dry your surface or continue working on your card. Maybe you want to use that ink at a later date, like later on when you're watercoloring or what have you. You have the ability to make your craft mat mobile. This is an old hack that I'm showing, but I wanted to show you this new surface here, which is a Teflon heat-resistant sheet. They come to 3 to 5 in a pack, and they're a great idea if you are, let's say, hosting friends over. You can chop those down into nice squares, and they can have their own craft surface. Maybe you're hosting people who are new to the hobby, and this way they don't have to buy all these supplies. So that's an idea for you if you wanted to chop them up. They're not sticky on the back like the contact paper, so they're a lot easier to use in that way. All right, here's a money savings fail. So I like to include those when I can because I picked up these tape dispensers. I love having tape dispensers in my craft area because I put my craft tape on them. So this one is the Spellbinders brand. I use a Frog Tape Painters brand and the scrapbook.com mint tape. Well, this one did not fit. So then I went back and I was like, okay, the mint tape, let's see if that fits. Because I wanted them all to fit so that I can have this uniform, cute little look of my tape dispensers. But the problem is it doesn't even stick to the end. So I can't even use it. So they were a wash. I don't recommend those except for like Scotch tape. Now, this is what I was telling you, another use you can have this mobile craft mat for. Now, notice what it's doing to my camera, which is why you don't see me use this in videos. It's really messing with the camera image because of the surface of that craft mat. So just that's a side note. Okay, so I also wanted to tell you why this is so cool to have the mobile craft mat, because I can tape it down, do a watercolor thing. It doesn't warp it as much. And you can just put it off to the side and let it dry. So I really, really like that. And here's the finished dried panel, which is not warped hardly at all. So another good reason to have your mat on a clipboard. And I got that clipboard from the Dollar Tree too. So $125 for that. All right, let's move on to our next Dollar Tree find. Now, I have talked about these a couple times in previous videos. These are the cutting mats. They come 2 to a pack and they're flexible. And so that's a really good reason to get these as a craft surface for 2 main reasons. But one is, they're one of my favorite ways to ink smush. The way that the ink beads up on them is just wonderful. Non-porous surface. I find that glass mats work, but they have a little bit of a drag to them. Whereas if you have the leftover inks on these, they pick up in dot form really, really nicely. It's hard to explain, and I'm kind of cutting hairs there, but I just really like them for that. They also are great because you have these two large surfaces that you can cut down very simply with your trimmer. And again, if you're having a crop or if you're going to some place where you have multiple people, you can use them as craft surfaces. But you can also take your corner rounders, which I highly recommend because those are pretty sharp, and you're going to round the corners with them. One other thing that I want to mention but don't show is they're flexible, so you can do like ink splatting off the edge of it. So if you put some ink on the edge of it and then you splat that on with a paintbrush, it works beautifully. All right, this next item is sort of a try this, not that kind of item. I'm going to show you the We Are Makers and the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗚 corner rounder punches because this is the one I've had for years and years. It's the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗚 one with the 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch rounder. And when you cut your card stock, the little pieces fall inside of the little mechanism there, so keep that in mind. But what I want to share is that both of the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗚 and We Are Makers are drastically less expensive than that 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗚, and they work amazing. I also like that my little pieces fall out into the freedom of the air instead of being caught into that mechanism, because that one's not the easiest to empty. So all things considered, if you're new to this and you want to get a corner rounder punch, I would recommend one of these two. I think they're great. This one comes with 3 different sizes. This is the We Are Makers, and I really like that because I have options there. And then the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗥𝗚 one, it comes with a notch one. I'll show you in a second. But I'm easily cutting through that cutting board, and that's really great. I highly recommend that you do that because those are sharp, like I said, on the sides. Then this one is the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗥𝗚, and you have a small rounder for your corners, and then you have a notch. And this is great if you're, I know you make a notch like this when you're making envelopes. So it just gives you essentially an additional punch right there. So that's they're 2 different ones. So you have your notch and you have your corner rounder, and then the We Are Makers is all 3 corner rounders. So I definitely wanted to include that because that is a drastic money savings on the difference between those and the 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗚 one. All right, so let's move on into our next money savings idea here, and that is going to be where I show you this heated craft tool. Now, this is the Ranger one. I thought when I was on Amazon shopping, because it was about $12 cheaper than I've seen it elsewhere. Price might change. That's how Amazon works. But I thought it was a different tool. I thought it was like a generic kind. No, it's the actual Ranger one. So I wanted to include it just in case you wanted to pick this up, but you found it a little pricey. Now, I get this question a lot. What's the difference between this and an embossing gun? Embossing gun nozzle is much smaller, more concentrated, and gets hotter usually. So that means you can warp your paper if you're trying to dry the whole panel. This I use for drying full panels. It's a lower heat, wider nozzle, and so I do use both equally. So I just wanted to answer that question. All right, next up, some out-of-the-box ideas on what to use some of these sheets. These are adhesive sheets. I think they're intended for like backdrops or multiple things, but they're sticky on one side. I also wanted to include just a quick clip of some of the really nice rub-ons that they have. Not necessarily rub-ons, they're more like decals for your wall. I just thought that was a really nice thing that they added. But I'm going to show you how I picked up 2 of these pieces and how I could probably get 4 to 5 A2 size cards out of them. I'm going to use them as backgrounds. So I take both of these very unique kind of backgrounds here, and I'm going to remove the release paper on the back, and I'm going to take an A2 size card. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to place that right down onto the sticky side, obviously. I'm going to make this really sturdy, nice background, and I made 2 of them. And the adhesive is really sticky, so not sticky like it's going to rip my contact paper, of course, but I just want to add that little note in there. It's not flimsy adhesive. So now I have these two panels here, and they would be just fine as backgrounds. I thought they were just a fun outside the box way to use these craft supplies that weren't intended for cards into cards. But I use them with my die cuts, and they die cut amazingly well. And so these are some of the things that I die cut, and I just wanted to show you that. And then I have some cards that I finished off that I wanted to share with you. So the first card here, I took the background and some vintage photo paper or vintage pattern paper for the behind, some leftover pieces, and that happy birthday is actually from the Dollar Tree too, and I'm going to show you how I use that next or coming up. And then here's the second card that I finished off with that really pretty background. So just kind of thinking outside that box there and having fun. Now, next up are the sticky mats. I've shown this smaller one in a video way back when, but it fits really nicely into the regular size MISTI, which is the Stampin' Tool platform. It fits perfectly in there if you wanted to. It's $1.25, which is far less expensive than some of the craft branded ones. I do have craft branded ones, but I just wanted to share with you that it is definitely comparable. So what the intent is to hold the cardstock down. So let's say you have a big stamp like this and you don't want a magnet to get in the way. You can just hold it down there, make sure that the blue piece is pressed into the corner, and then you're good to go. You can also use it as sort of a mobile mat because it's holding down my watercolor cardstock here, and I can do a little bit of watercoloring. Now this is the second fail of the day with these water brushes. I was really excited to see these at the Dollar Tree because that's really inexpensive. However, I couldn't even get them opened. I pulled with all my might and I was just basically ripping the plastic. I could not. It might have been faulty, but they both were faulty. So I don't know, I wouldn't risk it. So I went back to my old brush to see, am I doing this right? Like, am I turning it correctly? And I opened mine just fine. So I just wanted to put that PSA out there in case you had the same problem. I don't know, but I couldn't get those to work. All right, let's talk about the Magic Eraser. Now, this is the Mr. Clean version. It's a branded one, $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. And I wanted to see if it would be a good stamp cleaner. So I stamped my image out there, and then I took my Mr. Clean eraser. I probably should have wet it, and it did clean it. However, as I rubbed it really hard onto the stamp, it did start to pill up the dry eraser, or the Magic Eraser. So I don't know, I was getting a little nervous about that because I didn't want any of that residue left over. I did use it to clean up my surface though, and that seemed to work well. All right, let's go into a little bit of organization here. I saw in the 3 and up shelves that they had these really cute boxes here with lids, which is nice because you can organize things and then stack them. So I thought that was really good, especially because they all coordinate, and it was a nice soft gray color. But I picked up this one right here, and this was $3. And something like this, a hard acrylic organizer like this, if you were to go to Home Goods or TJ Maxx, you'll probably pay about $4.99 to $6.99 for something of this size. So be on the lookout for something like this at the Dollar Tree if you're trying to organize your stuff. It fit a lot of things. And so obviously there's a myriad of things I could have put in here, but I felt like it really did hold a lot of my most used products to keep them right at my fingertips. That's really been my favorite way to organize things I use all the time, to have them right there, easily accessible. It also makes cleanup a breeze. So here's a really quick tip for organization. Maybe use some pill boxes like this for embellishments. If you don't have a huge stash, you can just take a few of those and keep your embellishments separated, but really easy to open and use. Now, I did pick up 6 of these containers, and the reason being is I teach classes once a month that are live and virtual. That's a plug for me to invite you as well. Click the link below. You'll see what's coming up next. But it makes organizing my different tutorials or my different cards that we're making into separate containers, and they stack away, and I can just put them up for use in the next month. So I personally love those, but think about how you could separate out stamps in there. You could put ink pads, and you can just kind of compartmentalize your items while keeping them looking pretty. Now, I have no use for this, but I thought it was super cute. You can put it in like your car cup holder, and it's like a little garbage can, or if you want to keep it on your craft desk, that was cute. And then also they do have these little removable hooks that you can put inside your containers for embossing powder. I usually keep a little spoon in there. That works really nicely. And then a lot of people like to use the double-sided foam adhesive. I find I get more bang for my buck though by using the craft brand I use, just because I use it so often. All right, let's talk about this next thing here. I picked up 4 packs of this 6 to a pack little containers here. They have a plastic lid, and they're obviously plastic containers, but they're a little more of the acrylic plastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to poke holes through the top. Now, I got a little smarter towards the end by heating up my poker tool and then pushing it through the plastic to make it a lot easier. But I wanted to show you that I am now putting my tie-dye powder into these little containers. I bought a huge pack of tie-dye powders from Amazon because they work just like the crafting color powders. And so I wanted a way to shake them out. The containers I currently have are too big, too bulky. They barely fill up a quarter of it. And so I wanted to consolidate into these smaller ones. So here's what I'm going to show you and demonstrate. There's me using the tie-dye powders on some watercolor cardstock with some water. So let me show you again. I'm poking holes through the top. Again, as I changed my method, it got way easier, and I did that off screen. But I was able to poke through the top with my poker tool. And then using the funnel that I also got from the Dollar Tree, they come 3 to a pack, I was able to just pour my powder right in. So now I'm adding a different color here. I think I'm adding yellow, and you can see how wonderful they look. Now this one's blue. That's another side note. I've showed the tie-dye powders in a previous video in case you missed it. They are an amazing savings for having this kind of vibrant look on your card panels. I mean, really pretty. So I wanted to put another plug-in for those. Those are great. And they're from Amazon. They'll be linked below. All the stuff that's not Dollar Tree, I will try to find the links for you and put them in the description. Now let's go over some other craft kind of products from the Dollar Tree here, which may be able to let you have some fun and save some money. Like I said, I used the funnels that I picked up 3 to a pack. I have found the use of those, particularly with powders, and I didn't have a funnel, so that was good to have. This one is a little craft square. I'm going to show you, it is almost exactly like the craft branded one. It's rubbery, and it's meant to remove adhesive from certain things. So I'm going to show you a little demonstration here with my scissors. Now my scissors, although they're meant to be non-stick, they still get gunk on them. And so I'm not sure if I think the camera's picking it up okay, but you can kind of see that residual stuff left over on the scissors. So you take this rubber kind of thing here, and I just went back and forth, and I was able to scrub away a lot of that, all of it. I was able to scrub away all of the residue from there. So it was a really nice thing to have, and you can see it picks it up, and now my scissors are clean. And you want to make sure you do that every so often with your scissors because it makes a huge difference when you're trying to use them. Now I picked up another bottle of glitter nail polish from the Dollar Tree because these first 2 that I have, the silver and the gold, I use them quite a bit for one of my favorite techniques. Now I'm going to show you how to do this with your craft projects too. But let's say you have something you want to add a little bit of sparkle to. Sometimes the craft sparkle pens cost maybe $3, $4. This costs $1.25, so it's a great way to do it. What you're going to do is take another idea here to save money is to use makeup wedges and cut them into 4 pieces. So now I have 4 applicators I can do this with in one wedge. I'm going to add the glitter nail polish to my wedge, and I'm going to just add it where I want on my project. This particular nail polish is a lot more fine looking with the glitter. It's not as larger chunks as the other gold and silver one that I have. And I hope that picks it up, but you can see just some really nice soft sparkle onto the image there. I hope that picks it up. Now, I did the same thing with the larger glitter nail polish here in the gold, and so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a comparison. If you haven't seen this hack of mine, this is one of my favorite things that I've discovered with glitter nail polish, especially when it's $1.25. I use it a lot. And so you can see those are larger flakes of the glitter. Now, I wanted to try these happy birthday sentiments here. They come 3 to a pack, and they're like wood chipped. They're not, obviously not real wood, but they're they look like that. And so I thought, well, let's give these a go. And the first thing I wanted to do was heat emboss them. So I dipped them into sticky ink. That's what you want, the Versamark, or I'm using scrapbook.com, but you just want a sticky clear ink, and you want to coat your sentiment with it, and then dip it into embossing powder and heat set it, and they embossed amazingly well. If I were to put 2-3 coats on that, it would look like a metal type of sentiment. So that was fun. Speaking of metal, let's talk about their foil sheets. So you get all of these to 1 pack, and they are, I believe, 6 by 6. And you get some holographic gold, silver, blue, red, and green. And I love that they give you 2 sheets of the holographic, because that's the prettiest one in my opinion. I'm going to show you how, when you emboss these, how beautiful that comes out. I don't really even want to add anything else. No ink, maybe a little bit of embellishments, but I wanted to show you when I cut it down into an A2 size card, just how pretty that is. Now, what if you do a monochromatic look? That's really fun, silver on silver, and that is how I finished off this card. I added a couple little diamonds in the middle of the flowers just to add some more sparkle, but that was a lot of fun, and the holographic, like I said, was my favorite one. And it's really sturdy cardstock too. I highly recommend. Now, I love a spatula for when I'm doing stenciling because of the flexibility on the end. The black one I actually needed for my kitchen, so I put that down there without using it. But I do want to show you this in application form. So I have a gray one that I keep in my craft room. And I love, like I said, the flexibility of the tip of the spatula. It really does help me get the embossing paste on there really nicely. A little tip here, you can actually, because I'm going over water reactive ink, I don't want to put that excess back into the jar. So I'm going to load it up onto the spatula and hold it there. You really can't see this very well in the video, but those are stars. And I'm going to place another sheet right under and use the excess to just add some really fun stars on there again. So just another side hack for you. You don't want to cross-contaminate by adding back that embossing paste into the jar, because you will mix colors. All right, we're moving on to the next thing. Pick up some shelf liner. This stuff is great, not only for your drawers, for your craft room, but I'm going to show you another way that I like to use shelf liner. So I'm going to cut this down into a long strip. So I would probably say this is about 13-14 inches long and maybe about 5 inches wide. I'm going to use that to hold my ink. So see how this moves on my craft surface? When I put it onto the shelf liner, it doesn't move at all. And that really is helpful when you are ink blending. You are going to use one hand to hold down your cardstock and the other hand to ink up your blending brush. So they make things like this in the craft industry to hold your ink pads in. They're usually made out of silicone, something that's non-slip, and they work great. So I think that's awesome. If you already have those, that's awesome. But this is a very inexpensive way to get the same result by helping you keep those ink pads stay put. So I wanted to share that with you because, you know, these things add up after a while. And there's other ways that we can use our money. Moving on to these detailed blending brushes. I found even smaller ones than the ones I showed you in the last money savings video. And so I wanted to give them a try and see if I liked them so I could or could not recommend them to you. So I'm taking them and I'm going to show you that I am getting some really nice detail. Now, these are great if you have detailed stenciling. Highly recommend these. I think these are awesome. They are really, really affordable. You get 12 brushes in various sizes for, as of recording this video, $7.99. So I thought that was really great. What if you want to take a stencil here, even if it's not necessarily a large detail stencil, but you have a stencil of stars or whatever shape, and you want to make each individual one a different color? That's what detail brushes are really, really great for. So I highly recommend these. I think these are really good quality. And again, you really can't beat the price. So I wanted to make sure that I included that in the video. And there you can see just what detail you can get. Okay, that's it for me here, but before you go, don't forget to go grab your Hacks Excel spreadsheet. Tell me where to send it. Right when you submit and put your email in there, you can actually click this link and it's there for you. So it's really fast. You don't have to wait for the email. The email just adds you to my list and you can unsubscribe absolutely anytime you want, but hang out for a few days because I send you some freebies. All right, that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope this was helpful and I hope it inspires you to, number one, realize that you do not need to spend a lot of money for all these additional tools that actually are really helpful for our hobby. You just don't need to break the bank to do it. And number two, to start thinking outside the box for when you're out there seeing things and how you can use them in alternative ways. I will see you in the comments down below and in the next video. Bye-bye. Psst, there's more money savings videos on the screen there. Check them out.